Welcome to iPad Pros, the show all about using your iPad to be productive and get work done. I'm Tim Chen, host of the show.
Hello there, and welcome to a new episode of iPad Pros. Joining me on this podcast is Kyle Randall, a sales engineer at Jamf. And in this episode, we just kind of do have a wide range of discussion of his iPad usage back in 2010 and fast forwarding today. And it's kind of a wide range of discussion, different cool accessories he uses, and different workflows and apps that he uses on his iPad. And I hope you enjoy this discussion with Kyle. If you'd like to support this podcast, you can do so over at patreon.com/iPadPros or by subscribing in Apple Podcasts. By supporting the show financially, you get early access to both iPad Pros and my other podcast, Vision Pros. My great thanks to everyone that supports the show. With that, here's my discussion with Kyle. Enjoy. Welcome to the podcast, Kyle.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. It's awesome
Absolutely.
to see you.
Yeah, you too. Nice to meet you. And I've read your first Substack post, and I know it's kind of early days with that, but good to have another voice kind of who's been using the iPad for a while and can kind of share from his experiences. So we're going to kind of dive into just you as an iPad user and kind of, I guess to begin, kind of what's your background? Like, when did the iPad become more than just a glorified TV for you?
Yeah, good question. I think the first time was really when it first came out. I bought, came out in April of 2010. I bought the first iPad Pro 64 gig Wi-Fi cellular. I went all out like June, so a few months after release. There was a Best Buy close here, just outside of Minneapolis, that had one in stock, and I was just getting ready to go to university, and I had a 17-inch MacBook Pro, and I was looking at it and going, "This feels so huge and archaic. Let's just sell it and just see what happens."
Okay.
And so my now wife, who we've been together for an incredibly long time, her cousin was like, "Well, I'll buy your MacBook." She was just wrapping up her graduate degree for teaching. She's like, "I'd love to have that MacBook." I went to Best Buy right after, I only bought the iPad. I literally had just enough money to buy just the iPad with cellular, and I paid for, I think, like a few months ahead of time for a bunch of cellular. And it literally was like living in the future all of a sudden. Like, it was just a really cool time. So yeah, I went all iPad the day that I bought my first iPad in 2010.
That's awesome. Yeah. I also had a 17-inch MacBook Pro back when the iPad came out. I did sell my 17-inch iPad Pro, and I ended up with, I think it was a MacBook Air, the first generation, along with an iPad. It was my combination. Yeah. Wild times. That original MacBook Air was a wild device, and I think there's a Mac Mini at one point I was using my iPad, a combination. I had two original iPads. I was doing the thing for iPad multitasking back in the day where I have one as a reference screen as I'm typing up stuff on the other iPad. That's the way you multitask back in 2010. You just get two iPads.
Yeah. I remember I never tried that. I was just getting into college, and I had literally no money.
It's expensive to do that. I mean, yeah. But I had a 64 cellular, then I had the baseline 8 gigabytes. Was it 8, 16?
I think it was 16.
64?
I think it started 16, 32, 64.
Okay, that sounds right, yeah. But yeah, I had both the baseline and the high-end one, which the high-end one, back then it's only a couple $100 more for everything.
Yeah.
Versus now where the high-end one's like, do you want to spend the $350 or do you want to spend over $2,000?
Yeah,
the range. It's kind of expanded since then, right?
Yeah, I know. I was thinking about that just the other day when I was dropping my oldest off at school. I'm like, I remember paying maybe, what was it, $829 for the max stuff?
Yep.
Yeah. And I'm like, I have a 13-inch 1 terabyte M4 iPad Pro with cellular, if I didn't say that, and that is a much higher price entry than the original iPad, which I know it's over what we're at 10, 15 years now, so it's like it's been 15 years, but like still it's just like that is quite the leap in
it is.
Cost.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And storage. 64 gigs was the maximum back in the day, and now
I fit my entire iTunes library. That's why I felt comfortable selling my MacBook Pro. I'm like, all right, I can get by with 64 gigs. That's my iTunes library. I'll be fine. Maybe 5 years they'll up the storage at some point, whatever. Yeah. And like, because it was new, everyone was like, well, maybe they'll do removable storage where you can like swap like the little flashes. I'm like,
Sure.
I don't think Apple would ever let you do that silly stuff, but
No.
oh man,
They'll let
yeah,
you
it was a
plug
wild
in
time
storage,
15 years ago.
but yeah.
Yeah, now you can plug in storage. I have like a 2 terabyte solid state drive that I'll plug in from time to time for stuff. But yeah,
Right. Yeah. But now the baseline's 256 gigabytes on a
yeah,
Pro, and
yeah,
the baseline iPad is 128. So yeah, you
yeah.
cannot even get 64 gigs, the old maximum. Which apps are a lot bigger than they used to be. Everything's bigger. Like they do, it seems like uh, everything's just gotten bigger.
Yeah.
Movies, they're 4K now that you're downloading to the iPad or whatever
Yeah.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it's like I think I was listening to the last episode you had. I think it was two brothers on
Mm-hmm.
that do a lot of. They had their iPad productivity, and I was hearing that they're like. I think maybe you were engaged with it too. Like this 15-inch iPad Pro, and it's like I have a 16-inch MacBook Pro that I'm talking to you
Mm-hmm.
on right now. Like I could see me carrying that around. It might look a little silly at first, but like
Sure.
but having I remember the first 12.9-inch iPad Pro when that came out, that looked crazy. It looked like
Yeah.
Moses carrying around like the Ten Commandments.
Oh
Like it
yeah.
was gigantic.
Well, it was
And now
huge
it's
back then with the big chin and everything.
yeah, oh yeah,
Um,
that thing was gigantic. But
I loved it
now it's
though
like
at the time. It was
yeah,
great.
yeah,
But yeah,
oh,
I
sick.
love a big desktop class iPad. And then you have your little smaller one. We just got a mini in the household for
Ooh, how's that? I've never had one. How's that?
my well my I was given permission to get one because they didn't want a big. Well, I was using the 10.5 with my daughter, and she's like,
Okay.
I want a smaller one in case it gets thrown. It's like, okay. So
Yeah, fair point.
very nice. It's such a cute little device, and
Yeah,
yeah, we don't give it to her much, but
yeah,
when she does have it, she knows how to get around that thing pretty quickly.
yep.
Yep.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. My kids, it's between Freeform, Endel, because I listen to a lot of like just motionscape music in the background when I'm
Uh huh.
working throughout the day. And if you've ever used Endel, you can touch the screen and it gives these little animations. So this morning before school drop off, it was literally just my two sons surprisingly being civil with each other of choosing the sound they want to listen to
Ah,
and then pressing the animation. So yeah,
that's
I
cool.
understand
Yeah.
the kids and just the right amount of screen time some days.
Yes. Yes. Oh man.
Mm.
So original iPad, and then was it pretty much updating as new updates came out, or did you stick with that for a while, or what was the
Mm.
cadence of updates for you?
Yeah, I had a very because my wife's known me for 16 years and some change now. She knows my story of technology and like I'll just drastically change the way I do things. But
Mm-hmm.
um, at one point, I think I had the original iPad for the better part of a year. Whatever OS update, I think it was iOS 4 when they introduced iMessage. I think I got rid of the first gen iPad right before iMessage because I'm like, I don't like I have to grab my phone to text people and then I don't get anything on my
Yeah.
iPad because like I'm very much like if I can have one device do the majority of my life, I'll do it. And the iPad, that's why the iPad's been so fun for me
Mm-hmm.
is like I can carry this everywhere, especially with cellular and me choosing to take that extra expense on. Like it's been awesome.
Yeah.
Um, but when I got rid of my first iPad, I think I just didn't have a computer for a while. Like I was in
Hmm.
university, but university we had all the computers everywhere, so it was really
The
easy with all
computer
the Mac
labs.
labs.
Imagine
Yeah, we had that
imagine that
stuff.
computer labs.
Yeah,
Like
exactly. Computer labs, they were awesome.
yeah.
And then at some point in college, I got an iPad 2 and I bought it off Craigslist. And this was before I realized that people can be scammery people on
Oh, okay.
Craigslist. And this was a good ending. It was more of
Yeah.
um, the college that I was close to, the neighboring college, a kid was selling his iPad. I'm like, yeah, I'll go ahead and buy it. So as one does responsibly, I use some of my financial aid money to buy an iPad rather than
Sure.
buy books
Yeah,
or pay
naturally.
for other things. And I remember I was super excited because I think it was like a 32 gig or it was something, it was
Mm-hmm.
larger storage or it felt larger storage.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I immediately started running into an issue with it. And where I went to college was about 3 hours away from home and here in Minneapolis. And in the surrounding Minneapolis area, there's like 5 or 6 Apple stores. And where I
Mm-hmm.
was going to school, there was zero. So I came home for the weekend. I went to the Apple Store Uptown, which no longer exists. And I remember going in because I had an issue. It was the charging port.
Mm.
And I just remember the guy, that genius that was taking my iPad, kind of looked at me because I forgot when I bought this. It had the guy that I bought it from's name engraved on the back, like that little freak crazy. So he kind of looked at me like, "Did you steal this?" And before I could even say anything, I just said, "I didn't steal this." And I know it sounds weird, but I'm like, "Here's the like." I went through the whole thing because I thought like maybe they're thinking I'm stealing this device, and that's why I want them to replace it. Um, so I had an iPad 2, and then when the iPad third generation, when the Retina came out, my mom bought me and my sister one. She's like, "I really just want to get you guys an iPad. Would you like one?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure."
Yeah.
And boy, was that device horribly slow. Like
It was.
even when it was state of the art, that was horribly
Beautiful
slow,
screen,
Tim.
but
Yeah,
man, that thing was hot, and that's why they replaced it so quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Because then
I never had it. My boss had it. I had the 2 at the time. And the 2 was so revolutionary with the smart cover.
Yes.
It felt like the magnets is like, this is ingenious. And back then I didn't use a passcode, so you just open it and you're in. That's people didn't do passcodes as often back then, and you had apps like Evernote, the flashcard app where you'd peek.
Yes.
There was people were doing crazy things back then. It was just like an innovative time.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I think that's what I missed the most. Like, I still go on Reddit, even though I know there will not be an answer ever for this, and I don't have, I think, maybe the engineering background to figure it out. How much I wish they just made a smart cover. Like, I know they make the smart folio.
Yes.
I just want the cover.
Back.
Yeah, I don't want the back. Like, that's just like it's a visual thing for me.
I also think so it's sure protects the back. Most time when you just set it down the table, set it down the screen first, and good to go. But yeah, the magnets aren't there anymore. They're on the back now, and it's a shame because I did miss that. It did always rub. You lose some of the coloring around the magnets.
Oh yeah,
which is fine.
Oh yeah,
and sometimes and the covers they would kind of tear near the magnets as well that side, but it was fine. I had some very well loved and used ones back then.
Yeah.
The big application I missed from the early days of iPad was Scrabble. I've talked about this before, but Scrabble, you'd have the Scrabble on your iPad, then the phones would have the tile racks, and it works so seamlessly where you just flick them to the board. And now they updated Scrabble many years ago, where it's just this terrible app that doesn't do the tile rack apps. I'd love if some third-party developer could recreate that with some generic Scrabble game and do the tile rack apps on the phone. It's just such a cool concept, especially with the bigger iPads now. It'd be so much fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I wonder too, like, if with all the stuff going on in the EU where you can install third-party apps, if someone will just take that on if they haven't already. We don't have the benefit here in the States of having another app store on an iPad or an iPhone yet, but maybe that'd be kind of fun to see if someone revive that, because I do miss a lot of those games. Like, I just remember when the first was it iPhone 3G with the Super Monkey Ball. Like, I think spending all of my paycheck in like the span of a month on all these apps that you could get, and I'm like, man, I wish I could play those again. Like, I spent
the early
money on them.
days of app stores and gaming there. That was the golden age for me. Like after it went free to play and just degraded, it just went. It's no good. So I'm glad Nintendo's in a nice place now. So just grab my Switch if I want to play. Something.
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. After the iPad third generation, I had that all throughout the rest of university for like the following 2 years, and then I got my first big kid job out of university, being IT for an art college here in Minneapolis, and I quickly. It was really cool because like they gave me a laptop for work, but I'm one of those people that like I like using my own hardware as much as possible. Like, I really am a huge believer in like the BYOD philosophy, if also me as the end user that I know what I'm getting myself into.
Sure.
And so I had my at some point I acquired a 17-inch MacBook Pro again. I bought the last one in 2011 before they nixed the 17-inch. So I had that.
Such a fun size.
And it was such a cool size. And so I had that, and then at some point along the way, I basically started the slow history of Kyle buying the present iPad, just too late. Meaning, I bought the iPad Air, like, this is awesome, and then I'm not kidding you, Tim, a month and a half later, the iPad Air 2 came out. I'm like, I should have bought that.
Which the Air 2, as we know, is such a big leap forward. That was like powerhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it worked. And then so then I was at that job for about 2.5 years, and then now where I work at now, Jamf. Like I started there in August of 2015, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy another iPad. So I was getting ready to go buy another iPad. I went down to the Apple store, bought an iPad Air 2, and for some reason, even though I worked at Jamf, we're an Apple management and security company,
Yeah.
I just wasn't paying attention to the rumors for some reason between when I started and around, what was it, September, October, when they announced the iPad Pro. So I
Yeah.
bought this iPad Air 2. I'm like, this is awesome. It's the future. And then all of a sudden, Tim Cook walks out on stage carrying this 10 commandment sized iPad. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's the one I want. And I missed the return window. And I was like, so I was always behind. And now, like, fast forward to 2024 of last year,
Yeah.
I bought the M4 the day like they announced it. I'm like, this is the one. I held out on an M1 and M2. I'm like, I want a landscape camera. So
Yeah.
after many failures of purchasing iPads, selling
Just do
iPads,
day one.
trading, yeah, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do this, and I'm not going to think about it for a couple years.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
the thing you regret in your notes, as you mentioned to me, the nanotexture, which I have to say is a glorious thing. I love my nanotexture.
Yes.
I'm so happy I did the wait and delayed my shipping for it.
Yeah.
So nice.
Yeah.
Your next
Yeah,
iPad
I've heard,
with it will be great. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard yourself. I've heard other folks on your podcast talk about it. I've had one of my friends from work has it, and he's like, it was worth it. And like, granted, I don't know if I put in my notes, I have the Mothka like glass screen protector,
Yeah.
and that works. Like, if folks are like, hey, I just want to have like an anti-glare like display, but I don't want to have the drawing paper like feel.
Sure.
The Mothka thing is amazing. Um, I've had um, I've had what I would consider to be not wonderful luck with the Paperlike, because eventually you start to see. I don't know if you've used one on any of your
Yeah,
iPads,
it's
but you
been
just
a
start to
bit,
see
but
the
I have.
pencil.
Sure.
Yeah, you start to see those pencil wears, and the Mothka, since it's glass only, and it's etched glass, and it's like anti-glare. Like no matter where I'm at, if I'm sitting outside in my yard, or if I'm at like a park, or if I'm in the car and I need to start a movie so that my kids can be quiet for a little bit, whatever it is, that has been held up really well. And like
good.
pencil, it's been wonderful, and it's been on there for, I don't know, 6 months now or so, and it's held up pretty well, which I like.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, nanotexture would be like, I wish I would have just done that from the start, because even my friend who helped me, he works. One of his friends works at Apple and got me a friends and family discount. They're like, you should have gone with the nanotexture.
Yeah. Because like you were already going 1 terabyte, so you weren't even upgrading storage based on getting nanotexture alone. It was already part of your equation of what you wanted.
Yeah,
I think it's like $100 or something.
Yeah, no,
if you're at that storage tier.
Yeah, well, I'm already spending that stupid amount of money on an iPad, like $100. Like, it's one of those things where like, no wonder why Apple's so good at making money. It's like, duh, I could have just
there,
like, yeah, I'm already there. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, and then I think I was terrified of, again, this was without doing any research. I just remember, I think it was when the Pro Display XDR came out, that lovely 32-inch monitor they make. I remember someone said, if you clean it with anything besides the cloth they give you, it will leave streaks on there. I'm like, I don't want that on my iPad that I use every day.
Yeah,
so I was
and that's the whole thing
of that.
Like, they should have called it like chemically treated nanotexture versus physically etched. Like, they're different things a bit.
Yeah.
And I very rarely need to clean it, and because you don't see fingerprints as easily with it as well. Yeah.
Next time.
Yeah. Now you have white Magic Keyboards. Are the iPad Silver or?
Yeah, iPad Silver. Yeah,
okay.
I debated on going wild and doing the black iPad or space gray iPad, whatever they call for the color this year, and a white Magic Keyboard. I'm like, I'm not that brave. I'm not that bold.
Yeah,
yet.
I'm at some point maybe tempted, because the white Magic Keyboards seem to be much lower cost in the aftermarket if you buy them used.
Yeah.
Is yours holding up? Is that the reason that people don't want the white ones, or?
I'm looking over at it right now, and I would say it's holding up well. I was actually going on, maybe it was Reddit this morning, because I wanted to clean it, because I usually try to do like a month to every 2 months. I'll just clean it, because like I also have kids. They're near my stuff. I'm outside, so I know things get dirty.
Yeah.
But it's held up pretty well. Like, nothing that a Magic Eraser, like I don't think that's actually on Apple's like cleaning website, but a Magic Eraser does wonders.
Yeah.
Forever Chemicals, they're great, but it's it works well, and I will say, like, it looks beautiful. Like, it's one of my favorite things about having an iPad with the Magic Keyboard is it starts to feel like a piece of art when you're looking
Yes.
at it, because it's just sitting there floating. Like, it still makes me
Yeah.
happy
No,
every day that I
it's
look
such a
at it.
cool design.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've held off because I'm just using my MacBook Air headless with the iPad when I want a keyboard. But it'd be nice to have like a more portable system that doesn't need that as well at some point. But I still have never had a sale for new Magic keyboards. It's never had a. It's been a year and it's not
Mm,
had a single sale come up. It's wild because most
mm.
of the time, Best Buy or something will have like
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
look at the used market. It's still $200 or so, which is I'm not sure I want to spend that right now.
Yeah.
But someday I will get it when it's
Yeah.
whatever it costs.
Yeah, when it's on like woot.com or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, because I hear they're very nice. I play with them in the Apple Store. It's like that seems like a nice design, that update
Yeah.
to the Magic Keyboard.
Yeah.
Um,
It's really it is the quality of keys. Like, I just sold my 2020 iPad Pro with Magic Keyboard to a coworker's friend,
mhm.
and I remember using that, and I still can remember the physical exertion that I would do on that, and it was just like, it was mind blowing just to see in the span of a couple years the quality difference,
Mm.
which would make sense over time, I guess, for
Right.
some companies, but like, it's a really solid piece of hardware, and the metal hinge, like the way they changed there's no longer that little like fabric
Yeah.
fold
Mhm.
over. Like, it's just an exposed piece of metal now. Just looks really beautiful. But
Nice.
also, it's like it's $350. Like,
It's crazy.
yeah,
Like you
yeah,
buy a whole iPad, and I did for the amount
exactly.
that the
Yep.
keyboards are.
Yeah.
The kid case I got for the mini, outer box makes it
Oh,
brilliant.
sweet.
Brilliant thing. It's dishwasher safe. It's like yeah, you just throw it in the dishwasher top
Yeah.
rack to clean it.
Genius.
They market it. Get your peanut butter and jelly off your iPad case.
Yeah.
Like it's ingenious. Like of course, yeah.
I like that. I
Yeah,
like that. That
no,
is a
it's a
really
cool
good
little
idea. I didn't
design.
think about that.
Yeah, no, it's a fun. People will know what case it is if you just look up outer box in their kids'
Yeah.
cases. It's a nice little design.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
all most kids' cases it's like this is just terrible. Like it just every sensibility they have for sleek
mm-hmm.
and whatever, it
Mm-hmm.
just goes out the window.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
It's
yeah.
not terrible. But it is a bit bulkier than I would
Yeah.
otherwise have. Um,
Oh, that's
yeah.
awesome.
So you also you had Apple Pencil Pro, and then you also have a work iPad. This is like a work issued 11-inch M2
Yep.
iPad Pro.
Yeah. Yeah. I use that exclusively for two things. One,
Mm-hmm.
for testing workflows. My job at Jamf is a sales engineer, so I'm responsible for the technical side of a sales process. So if the company you work for was like, hey, we'd really love to manage our Apple devices,
Mm-hmm.
and we would love to see, like, hey, can you guys do these workflows based off of how we operate as a company? And on the Mac side of things, we can do a bunch of cool stuff, and then even on iOS devices, we can do a lot of cool stuff. We work really well in any industry, but we have like specific iOS workflows. Not making this a Jamf thing, just making
Sure.
it talking specifically to what I do, but we have specific workflows for iOS devices that make us a unique player in the MDM industry. And so I'll have those usually just like on a test iPad, as well as I'll have, because I'm signed into my personal Apple ID on my work devices
Mm-hmm.
for some things, and I'll have like a couple movies downloaded on that work iPad. So
Yeah.
in case I have a down day, my son he stays home with my wife and I when I'm working throughout the day. So I'll just like some days have like a Studio Ghibli, like my neighbor Totoro sitting here on my desk right next to me,
Absolutely.
and he'll just be sitting there drawing, marking on his like piece of paper or whatever, and just like looking up and seeing what they're doing, and then go back to business. Yeah.
Yeah. I wish I could buy like on the Apple TV app, like Miss Rachel, like a season of that. It's all on YouTube, which
Oh
the Apple
yeah.
TV app is just so much better about downloading stuff and not needing to. Oh, let's
Yes.
check the internet, make sure you're eligible after 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
that. So if it's an Apple TV, I'm like pretty confident you're gonna play when I hit play.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes. We were just going through that, or at least I was. I'm the tech person on the side of the
Yeah.
family. So, um, we have YouTube Premium so that we don't see ads or anything. And
Yeah.
when I was downloading We do CBBS. BBC has this really cool like bedtime story thing where they have somebody read a bedtime story. I download them, or at least I should say I have attempted to download them.
Yeah.
And YouTube says, yeah, it's downloading. And then a week later, I'll open it up and it says, still downloading. I'm like, there's 5 movies in here.
Right.
Versus like when I go to an Apple TV, I can open up anything I've purchased or anything in Apple TV Plus. When I hit download, I know it's going to be there.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And like, if you like on Macs, you'll hit play, and then 2 days later it's expired. It's like, I this movie's 2 hours long, and my daughter has a 15-minute attention span. Come on, guys. This is
Yeah.
So it's so nice with Apple TV. So it's like I definitely favor that app for that stuff because it's just so much better with that.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it seems like every I don't know if Amazon, if you purchase stuff, if it's any better about that, or if it's just because it's subscriptions. If that's whatever the case is, it seems But I say that, but even Apple TV Plus stuff doesn't behave poorly like the other apps do. Like no, it doesn't.
No, I've only had an issue, and it's when I've had something downloaded, like much like probably everybody did during COVID. I had every episode of Ted Lasso downloaded to whatever iPad.
Sure.
And after 2 years, I was like, "Hey, dude, like you need to sync this up to the internet." So
okay,
it kept saying
but
expired.
It's been a while,
Yeah, like at some point, it was like, "Yeah, we know you're an active user, but like you got to turn this back
right,
on."
Yeah,
like, download or like delete it and re-download. I'm like, "All right, fine."
Sure, yeah.
But yeah.
And then so you have an 11 and a 13.
Yep.
Do you you're happy you went with 13 for your personal one, like size wise, and like how do you feel about the 11 having used that as well?
Yeah, if all I did, and this is what has piqued my interest about maybe getting a mini down the road, if all I did was note taking, either with preferably through like a pencil input, like that is just a very relaxing way of doing things.
Yeah,
if that's all I did, and maybe just only digital book reading, like I still have physical books in my office, but like sometimes it's nice to have like a digital copy. If that's all I did was just read books and do handwritten notes on an iPad, I'd probably go with an 11-inch because like it's the perfect size for that, because it doesn't feel like I'm taking up too much space with my hand. I can just flow my brain. It feels like paper.
Yeah, and it works great for if you're a single app user most of the time. Like when I'm editing a podcast, I'm just in Ferrite, full screen, works great for that. But so it's when you want like 2 big side-by-side apps, or you know, using the multi-stage manager thing.
Yeah, stage manager thing. Yeah, that's probably the best way of approaching stage manager.
Well, we'll see this summer if that changes again.
Yeah, but
we might have split screen stage manager and some other outer space control thing for the iPad.
Yeah, like it's wild. But like I'm happy that like I feel very fortunate that like where I work, when I need something to test, I can usually get something, even if it's used. Like, it still is nice that our IT department's like, "Oh, we can mail this to you, have it for a couple months, mail it back."
Yeah, because with Jamf, you guys directly work with Apple devices, so you probably have a bunch that you guys have around just for testing your own product in, right?
Yeah. We all have, like, everyone on my team has, like, I would say different, we have a variety of devices. Like, we all get, like, as part of being a Jamf employee, like, we do get a MacBook Pro, which is awesome. And then depending on your role, like for me on the technical sales side, it's like I need to know how things work on an iPad. I'm trying to see if it's in my drawer still. It disappeared. Hopefully Jamf IT doesn't hear me say this. I do have it. All right, well, I'm looking at it. A lovely iPhone 14 in purple. It's beautiful.
Nice. Good color.
This thing it's slick. I'm like, because I have a 13 Pro Max, and I'm getting tired of the size of that screen, but I'm like, I also don't want to spend the money to upgrade.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I have 2 test iPads. I have my personal iPad, and then 1 test MacBook Pro as well. So I've got a plethora of Apple stuff. The only thing I don't have that I would want would be like a Vision Pro, but because of the cost, and they're like, Jamf is like, you're not important enough, and most people aren't. That like we have like
Jamf supports the Vision Pro, right?
We do, yeah.
Okay.
We did same day support right when it came out, and actually, I can't remember his last name, but it's the lovely lawyer that you had on.
Yeah, he's waiting on Microsoft to add support for that. Yeah.
I sent him an email. I said, just to let you know, Jamf would be able to do that. And he goes, "Oh, I know you would." He goes, "I wish we had Jamf, but he goes, predominantly Windows." And I was like, "Well, we can still help out." So I was kind of being a salesperson through an email with,
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a lot of fun to get access to the stuff and just have. I don't know. I've always wanted to be working with Apple devices in general, like even if it was just for work and I was doing something else, but like having this
Yeah, like
opportunity.
in college, I worked for the IT department. It's like, thank God I was in the Mac department. I didn't want to touch the window
Yep. Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so much more fun.
Yeah. Oh no, it was a lot of fun, and like, there's probably going to be Windows users that listen to this podcast and are going to get mad at me, and they will find me somehow and troll me. But like, I just remember when I was in college still, I worked at the student IT department on the Mac side, and I just remember looking at all the Windows admins, like the actual like employees, and then the student workers, and they all just looked mad. Like, I don't know if it was just because like it was one of those top down things, like
Yeah.
my boss is mad, so I should act mad. But I just remember like my manager, he was just like this beautiful, happy human being that was just like coming up with weird workflows to
Yeah.
support a university with like 3,000 Macs. And like
Totally.
we did not have an MDM at the time, so everything was done through remote desktop and Active Directory. Like it was nuts what
Yep.
he was doing.
I remember.
And he was
that
happy.
stuff too. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, he was happy. I'm like, there's a reason why he was happy and the Windows users weren't, because it was Windows. Like, that's all I gotta say.
Yep, very much so. And then the Apple Pencil, do you use it much as far as your day to day?
Yes, I would say for the most part, like I found a lot of joy. Do you have the Apple Pencil Pro?
I do, yes.
Yeah, just I almost was sitting here. I'm like, sometimes I'm autistic and I have ADD, so I have like it's a really hard time to focus, or I'm incredibly focused on something. And so I have the pencil, and I will just click it while I'm sitting here. Like if my iPad's unlocked and the screen's on, I'll just sit here and just click this button, and just have a joy at doing this. And like, I feel like Apple, one of the designers or the group of designers that was making this, was like probably not thinking of somebody who can't focus that well. And I just sit there, I'm like, all right, I'm just clicking this, just having a good time. But I use it a lot for input at night. I'm one of those horrible partners that, like, after our lovely chat here tonight, the Minnesota Timberwolves are in the NBA Western Conference Finals, and I will probably turn that on right before I fall asleep. My wife always falls asleep before me, and I'll just sit there with my pencil, and that's how I'll navigate moving through the screen. And I'll just like, yeah, so it's a little bit more of just like it's very entertaining to think like when Steve Jobs talks about like if you have a stylus, you failed. And now I'm sitting here and like the ghost of Steve Jobs is haunting me and like laughing at me for failing. But I use that a lot, and then I like using Freeform for just a lot bigger picture ideas and like just brain dumping ideas, whether it's at work or at home or whatever. And that's where I'll probably use it the most. I do a lot of presentations through Keynote for my job. And every once in a while, if I feel like I'm good enough, I'll do one of those like path animations for an object. But I have yet to do one well enough to be like, I'm going to show this to a customer. Like it kind of looks like one of my kids did it, and I don't feel proud of myself for it. I'm like, I'm 36. Like I should be able to draw a little bit better. But yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, art class is the one thing I just did not do well in.
Yeah. That's my wife.
I was a music student, and visual arts is not my thing.
Yeah.
And then you have a couple of these Kyushu X36 Pro back stands.
Yes.
So are these magnetic stands, or what are these?
Yes. These are by and far one of my favorite accessories I've ever owned for owning an Apple product. Like I think it's smart cover and then these stands. Like they're just really awesome. I have three of them. I have three of them because hopefully they're not listening to this. They all failed, so they were really awesome. Their support is really cool, and it was like an early product. So like I bought two right away, and they had some weird manufacturing defect where they fixed it with the third one, which is awesome. But I have one clamped to my desk right next to me, and then we just moved to our new house, so I haven't moved the other ones yet. But I had one outside in my garage at our old house that I would just like pop it on. So if I was listening to music or like listening to a podcast or something like that, I could just pop that out outside. And what's cool about it for the at least for my iPad, because I bought the one comes with charging in the back. So like
because it only
pop it on there.
And it only supports your M4 13-inch, right?
Yeah, so I can't do like my 11-inch doesn't work.
Yeah.
Even even the old 12.9-inch didn't work. Like
Right.
it literally
Because
was
the magnets
like, yes,
changed, yeah.
yeah,
But it
yeah.
charges it too, which is awesome.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I loved about the old Logitech charging base.
Yeah.
And
That thing was slick.
yeah, so this is like the return of that kind of idea,
Yeah.
which is cool.
Yeah, I like it, and it's what's cool about it is that one, their support is awesome. So like I can't, and it seems like they're always on sale on their website, better than on Amazon. Like they'll sell it on Amazon, but their website always has it for a little cheaper. It seems like they're expanding the offering, so now they have like a wall mounted version. So for folks that are like, hey, I really would just love to have an iPad permanently mounted to a wall, or like at least a stand.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought about it with our kitchen because there's not enough of a grip anywhere to do the mount. I'm like, maybe I mount this to like the under part of a cabinet, and I feel like my wife will hear me and go like, "No, you are not doing this to our kitchen."
Yeah,
but
no.
Yeah,
That's very cool.
Yeah.
And the charging speed, is it pretty slow, or what's the?
So I know there's some people probably on Reddit that have those like lovely little like voltage meters that just tell you how fast something's charging.
Yeah.
I don't have one of those, but whatever the speed is with because I know they updated the internal charging speed to be much faster through the on the new Magic Keyboard. When you plug it in through the pass-through charging versus the actual like port, it charges faster in the new M4 MacBook or iPad Pros.
That's cool.
So whatever that's using, it's charging much faster than the old versions of iPads.
Okay, cool.
Like,
so it definitely keeps up at least. Like the Logitech, I know is like charging base. It's like it's keeping you alive, but not doing much.
Yeah. No, this will. And like this morning, I woke up. I think my iPad was like 10%, and I popped it on probably around 9 a.m. And by 10 a.m. it was like 80-something%. Like it was charging pretty fast.
That's cool.
And I was using it too. Like I was streaming, doing all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, the screen was on. All that. Yeah, that's neat.
Yeah.
And does it think it's like a keyboard, or what's Apple think it is in the settings there?
So this has been the wonderful journey of buying hardware and then maybe Apple not being the happiest with people choosing to do certain things with said hardware.
Yeah, it seems like this is not Apple approved the way they're going about this.
Yeah, yes. So last year, part of my job that I take on is like I also install betas because I want to see what Apple's coming out with, so I can test against our software, and also just for myself to be informed of what's going on.
Yeah, I love that
and
you said it is part of your job, but it's like it's just fun. Betas are fun.
It's also fun to like have a device stop working. Like
that's great too, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like I did something. But so last year I'm trying to remember what beta it was working just fine in all of the betas before like 18 got released publicly in the fall. And then right around 18.1 or 18.2, I just remember I updated my iPad overnight, and then I went to my desk, plugged it in, and I didn't see it charging. I'm like,
oh, that's right.
Huh, weird. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm like, all right, I'll just unplug it, plug it back in, did a power cycle, did all the things. And I was like, oh, this sucks. I'm like, all right, well, fine, whatever. Like, and honestly, I thought it was the charger. I did not think anything about the operating system and Apple saying, no dice, you don't get to do this. And so went about my life for, I don't know, the better part of 2 months. And then went from 18.1 to 18.2, and I was still having the issue. I'm like, that's really weird. I'm like, this just feels very odd. So I went to Reddit, and some guy said, hey, this is Apple blocking this from happening. So hopefully they hear us and say like, hey, we'll just let you do it again. So as of right now, it still works on the public version of iOS 8 or iPad OS 18.5. So like it's working, but I remind myself every day when I plug it in, like if it stops working, it's not a Kyushu issue. It's Apple saying this is not okay anymore.
No. Very annoying. That should just be officially supported.
Yeah. It does act like a keyboard, and it switches. I think it switches to Mandarin by default.
Oh, it's
like it just literally it thinks it's a keyboard. And so like if I only was on an iPad, and I was like I'm talking to my Mac and I have universal control over here on my right with my iPad. If I was trying to type anything just on the screen, by default it thinks it's a keyboard, and then it goes virtual, and then it starts in Mandarin. I'm like, I don't know Mandarin. And then I think that might have been just a one-time thing, but like it's one of those like it thinks it's a keyboard when it's docked. Yeah. So whatever they did, I applaud their engineering because like I do not have that kind of brain for that stuff.
Yeah. And then in the house is a studio display that your wife uses for her job. Is yours a hybrid job, or are you fully remote?
I'm fully remote. We do have the option to go back to the office whenever we want. We have a really cool office in downtown Minneapolis. but I'm fully remote. And then, yeah, so I've been working from home since like March of 2020. He retired, but our CEO at the time just sent out an email saying, "Hey, we don't know what's going on. We're just going to work from home. We can definitely do our jobs remote. We'll be good."
You
And
are
then,
a
yeah,
remote mobile device man. Like
yeah,
it's part of
yeah,
what you
yeah,
guys do a little bit
yeah,
as far as
yeah. We gotta
management, so.
have our software work everywhere, and if it
Yep.
can work on Starlink or at a corporate network, like that's our goal. So that's what we do. Yeah.
Very cool. And how do you find the external display experience with the iPad? Do you do that much?
You know, this is where I'm still writing. At some point, I have like a couple. I'm on my third draft of an article that I want to post on my Substack,
Mm-hmm.
and mine is where like how I look at it is when I plug an iPad into an external display, I get so excited until I start having to do things with it,
Ah, yeah.
and I don't know. Like I have a 27-inch monitor from work. It's not a studio display, but it's a nice LG. I think this is a 4K or 5K display.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful. Um, but one of the perks of the studio display, at least from an iPad Pro perspective, is like I can plug it in and I can use either of those cameras when
Right.
I was FaceTiming somebody. Like
Mm-hmm.
cool. Um, but when if I was only doing non Kyle Randall Jamf sales engineer related tasks, the studio display would be perfect because like all I'm doing is moving from one window. Like there's weird hiccups. Like
Sure.
sometimes I'll click on the dock in the studio display and it'll open up Safari on my iPad screen versus
Yeah.
the whatever. I'm like, you know what? I can't make software, so like I can't judge people who make the software. But I'm like, it's a weird quirk, whatever. But when I do my day job, I can't even do it on an iPad because if I'm using Zoom, which is what we use at Jamf, if I hit start screen sharing, it rotates 90 degrees, and then my camera will turn on, and then my camera will be upside down, and there's no way for me to change it. And like I just like I get, and that like
That's
I was
wild.
talking with I was talking with we have a couple of my friends that I work with over
And
the
your
years.
device orientation does not matter. You can be flipping your
No,
iPad all around. Doesn't change.
exactly. It's just like that's when the plugging into an external display starts to get frustrating. And I I don't make podcasts, so like audio inputs a little. Maybe you understand the flow of audio input when to change things a little bit easier.
Yeah, it sucks on
But
iPad.
yeah,
It really
but like
does. Yeah.
yeah, but like when you plug even my LG monitor has speakers built into it. I'm like, I don't want it to default here. Can I just say never default to the built-in
Yeah.
display? No, there's no default setting.
No,
Like
there's not.
with my Mac today, I plugged in my podcast mic and it said, "Is this the one you want to use all the time?" Yes, this is what I
Yeah.
want to do, and I know it'll never change.
Yeah.
But yeah, so external display support. I'm hoping that's the thing is like I don't know what to expect. I don't even know what to hope for with not from like a negative perspective. Like I don't know what to hope for with this year's version of
Yeah, they
iPad.
always say
Like,
this is the year. Everything's
yeah,
gonna be great.
this is the year. It's
I
like
mean,
the yeah,
yeah, we were told it
yeah,
again. This is a big year. We're gonna get all
yeah,
these Mac-like features on iPad. Well, we'll see.
yeah,
We'll see what they
yeah,
do.
yeah. My old director was a huge Linux guy, and he was always making the lovely joke at the beginning of it would always be like we'd get back to school. This was when I was in IT at an art college, so we could get back from just winter break. He'd always start off every like team meeting going, "It's the year of Linux on the desktop, everybody." Like he would
Yeah,
just make this lovely joke, and I'm like, "It's the year that maybe iPad will be something more robust."
yeah.
But
It's
yeah,
you can tell him. The new joke is it's the year of Linux on gaming handhelds or whatever.
yeah,
The Steam Deck, So
yeah,
it's slowly getting more and more popular, and that's Linux or
yeah,
whatever, I guess.
yeah, yeah.
But
Who would
yeah,
have thought? Yeah, who
yeah.
would have thought? But
Anyways, yeah. But
yeah,
yeah,
no,
so external display support, it's much better than it used to be, where it just mirrors the screen. I remember those days.
goodness,
That was fun.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah. No, and I think that's been the theme for my article that I'm working on right now, and I've just been noodling on for really honestly like a year, is having been because I was looking back. I don't know if I put this in my email to you when I was just sending over some stuff about me,
mhm.
but I realized I was talking to my wife. I'm like, I haven't owned a MacBook in the better part of 12 to 13 years. Like I've only owned like my iPad is the only device I've ever purchased outside of an iPhone or like an Apple Watch or whatever has been an iPad. So like my
Yeah,
computer,
for
air
personal
quotes
use.
computer, has only been an iPad. So that's my frame of reference for everything.
Yeah.
But I'm really just trying to figure out, because like when you read all these articles, whether it's folks purpose focused on iPad productivity or iPad life, or if it's just Mac people who just say that they're iPad people, whatever it might be. The one thing that like I find interesting, it seems like people are missing the tone on, is like we are judging like a how when did they come out with it just being called iPad OS? I feel like that was like a 2018, 2019
That was
thing,
when the
maybe.
iPad Pro was introduced, I think, 2015.
Ew. Okay, so then it's like 10 years old. But
Yeah.
my theory, not theory, but like my thing still stands of like I it's interesting that we judge hardware so harshly for only being 10 years old, because like I think about it from my perspective as a human, like I wouldn't judge like my 6-year-old son for like you're not the perfect kid right now.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think about that from the software perspective. It's like software is even more imperfect than a human being, because like it's literally made by humans, so like it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
double down, like probably gonna blow up. But like
Yeah.
it's a thing that I'm excited to see. There's parts of me that like love this idea of making an iPad feel more robust, but I'm hearing from more people too, like everyone, it seems like more people are really loving an iPad to be that single use device. Like
Yeah.
I do have Stage Manager on throughout the day, but like when it's the evening or on the weekend when I'm just doing something on my device that's not work related or multitasking, everything's single app mode. Like
Mhm.
I am just locked in. I have to be able to focus, and it's also like intent. Like I really love using this device. It's fun versus like I think maybe even on the last episode, one of the brothers was talking about like I think multitasking is actually like a downside to having a Mac, because
Yeah.
I'm talking to you on it right now. And like I had to full screen FaceTime,
Yeah.
but I still for some reason forgot to unplug my monitor, so I have 12 windows opened up right above you.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? I can't focus. Versus I'm looking at my iPad. It's just calendar open. It just shows you're a nice conversation today.
Mhm.
And like, oh, I can breathe.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see what they do. It'll be more fun to read what everyone critiques about why it didn't do this, why it didn't do that.
Yeah. And it's just
And
so I don't know. It seems like not everyone has $6,000 to buy a new computer every 3 months to. I don't know. It's like I've got my iPad. I'm going to use it. It's going to do what it does, and it's not
yeah,
perfect and everything.
yeah,
But yeah.
yeah. I don't. It feels like we're
Although
living
the
in.
flip flopping of what computer I'm going to use is just I don't
Yeah,
know. It's wild to me.
yeah. Well, it's like I think we just. I feel like us as a species feels like at the current time and space that we're in, we have to validate so much of our own choices for
Mm-hmm.
things that like really don't impact anybody else. Like me using my iPad, Tim, does not impact you.
No.
Like before, like 2 months ago, you didn't even know I existed, and not in like a negative way. You just didn't know I
Right.
existed. It was
Yeah.
not you. You were not like, man, I'm really sad because this person named Kyle Randall has not entered my life in yet. And I think about that when I think about all these devices, and it's like we have such we have so many people out there that are voices that can make reach. Like there's folks like I bet there's people that from Apple listen to your podcast that you have, whether it's the Vision Pros or iPad Pros.
Mm-hmm.
There's folks that listen to like the lovely folks like Federico, Chris Lawley. Like there's a lot of whatever, and I think sometimes like we lose sight that like that voice is very important, and we have to make sure we're actually like trying to convey the right message. Like
Totally.
I can't remember the exact quote that he has, but one of my favorite things, and one of the people who got me interested in Apple stuff in general, and really get into like the, I guess, observing Apple, was Rene Ritchie.
Mm-hmm.
And like he had this wonderful quote that I'll never remember perfectly, of just like critiquing, basically critiquing is not like a form of, oh, it's going to bug me, and I'll probably end up sending it to you after this through email or whatever.
Yeah.
Just his view on critiquing was really beautiful, because it's just like it doesn't really add value to the conversation. Like I was just listening to Johnny Ive was doing a conversation for Stripe,
Yeah. I need to
and
listen to that. I've heard it's good.
oh, it really is beautiful, and it's fun to hear somebody who clearly has done a lot for the world. Like we're all using devices that he helped design at some
Yeah.
point. Like that's
Absolutely.
really cool. Like him and his team made huge impacts. But then just talking about like just because you have an idea doesn't mean it needs to be shared with the world. And
Yes.
like, I think some people, and even including myself, which is why I don't talk about a lot of my things publicly, because I'm like, it's not worth sharing. Like,
Yeah.
not in a negative way, like not
Sure.
talking about myself. I'm like, yeah, it's just not worth it. But I'm excited to see what they do. It still blows my mind that we can make this software and they can do this. And I know they have roadmaps that go on beyond just 1 year, but like, it's just wild that they can do this in a year. Like, it
Yeah,
really just blows
for
my
sure.
mind. Like, yeah, we're building it. We're going to ship it out. It's going to be awesome. It's going to
Yeah.
suck. Everyone's going to hate us and love us at the same time.
Yes. But yeah, I'm so curious what they do. And my favorite thing is when they make a cool feature that's like with trackpad support. They made a mouse that was what would an iPad-y way of doing something be? So I want to see what creative things they can do. Like, what's an iPad style way of managing multiple audio inputs and outputs?
Yes.
And all this stuff. Like, let's do the pro features in an iPad specific way. That's the thing. When John Gruber does the talk show WWDC, he's a Mac guy and he doesn't really understand like our frustration with the iPad was like we want the things, but let's do it in a special iPad way, and it was really like it seemed like he was missing the boat and asking Apple about the iPad because he just doesn't use the platform.
Yeah, and it'll be fun to see because you just mentioning that right now, like that is one of the coolest inputs is just the trackpad and just watching that cursor go from being this cute little kind of clearish dot, and it's fun too to change in accessibility. You can change that color. So I used to have mine be red, and then it kind of got me like I'm in school all over again. But it's fun to watch that go from just this floating thing moving across the screen to just snapping into place and just immediately transforming into that shape of that button.
Or in Ferret, if you hold on the Option key, I think it is, it transforms from the circle to a very tall selector thing for the waveform. So like when developers optimize, they can really make that thing transform into whatever they want it to be, which is neat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'll be an interesting thing. I've never been a developer. I've always wanted to. I've always tried, even just in Swift Playgrounds. But my brain, it's just one of those things that just seems like I don't click. But it'd be fun to see Apple, and it seems like a lot of people are doing that yearly thing of like, we are or we're an Apple developer, and now we're mad at Apple, and it's always that post that it seems like it's repetition. It's right before WWDC. Someone's got to talk about how much Apple sucks in the developer community. But it'd be fun to see, at least from my perspective as a user, it'd be fun to see Apple like try to get people to do stuff on the iPad again. Because I remember like they had Rupert Murdoch's, what was that really cool magazine that he had? It was when the iPad.
Was it called
the magazine. Genius. That's the perfect. That's the perfect name. You can never forget it. But like those kinds of things. I know those things were silly, but like if we're getting to this idea, and I don't have a Vision Pro, and I've only used one for the hour 30-minute demo, whatever they do at an Apple store.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're getting to this really cool new age anamorphic style of design, it'd be kind of fun for Apple to like. I don't know if I shouldn't say Apple bring back, but have developers bring back this like weird way of making apps again, because like that magazine thing was just weird but so fun to use, and it's like I want it just to be fun. I don't need it to be this clean, like Carrot's fun for me to use, like just scrolling through the different columns that guy has made for this app. It's so fun. And then you open up something like I'm just looking right now, like I don't know if you have Sonos. It's a unique app, and it's like I just wish they made an iPad specific app, because like it just feels like a blown up version of my phone. But
for sure.
Yeah.
Do you do much with Final Cut Pro on the iPad?
I do from time to time. Once I got this, I went to school for photojournalism. Part of that degree was learning, like we did Final Cut, and I started in that major just as Final Cut 10 came out.
Okay, I was wondering if you learned 7 at all.
No, I never got to do anything with 7, and I never really chose to, because I'm like, it's the future. Just gotta hop on that motorcycle.
I remember playing around with it back in college. I'm so glad 10 came out, because that thing was just wow. I don't know. It was archaic in my mind.
But I did it a lot for just like random projects, and then when I got my M4 iPad almost a year ago now, I forgot that Apple even came out with. Sorry, I burped there. But I forgot that Apple came out with Final Cut Pro for iPad. I was like, oh, this is awesome. And then I just started importing things, and it feels incredibly different than the Mac version.
Very much so, yeah.
But and I remember, I don't know if it was the last the podcast you released, or maybe it was one a few months ago. I remember somebody just mentioned, they're like, it is definitely a touch first input, and Final Cut is hardwired as a cursor keyboard input for me. And like, so it's relearning everything. So like, it's in my dock along with Logic Pro. Like, I'm trying to learn how to make music because it feels like a very fun new skill to learn at the age of 36 is learn how to make just chill music. And so with Final Cut on iPad, I have to do what feels like twice the amount of mental exertion to do the same thing I could have done on my Mac. Like, I got to challenge myself because my kids will be one day, they'll be like, Dad, you use Final Cut on an iPad? It's so much cooler than a Mac. I'm like, duh, I feel old now. But like, a lot of the stuff that I do is really just like random edits for maybe a work-related task, just like shortening a video, chopping it, whatever it might be. But then also like I'll plug in like family movie stuff, like a project that I'm going to start working on this year is like making more family-focused movies and stuff like that. And the audio, like the little sample audio codes they give you for background music, because the other thing that sucks about, at least for me, for Final Cut Pro for iPad is you can't import your paid iTunes library in there at all the way you can do on a Mac.
Yeah.
And it's like, that bums me out because I'm like, I still have a lot of paid music that I spent a lot of money on that I can't add in here. And it's like, well, if I just move that project to my Mac, I can do it in 2 seconds. And it's like, I don't want to have to move it to a Mac. I like this cool little iPad I can carry everywhere I want to.
Yeah. I really want that music app to be expanded on iPad OS. Like, let me drag files into music, for instance, and drag stuff out of the app.
Yeah, because you can't add music into.
No.
Like, you can't.
Yeah, my dream.
There's the pro feature. There's the pro feature for 2025.
My dream is let me hook up a CD player to my iPad and rip music directly into my iPad. That'll never happen.
I think I have a super drive, Tim. I'll figure out if that works.
It does not, but
dang it.
I've tried. But my dream one day is let me rip CDs onto my iPad directly in the music app. That'll never happen. Never.
That would be awesome.
It would be so
awesome.
cool. Yeah. Do you use Craft for your day job, or is that a personal app for you?
You came to mind just this past Sunday, Tim, because I was like, all right, I just sent Tim an email talking about how much I love Craft. If any of my coworkers ever listen to this, they all converted me to Craft like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I was loving it. And then I don't know what solar storm may have happened over the weekend, but then Sunday afternoon, I'm like, I'm going to do everything in Apple Notes. And I went on YouTube and I was just watching someone go through, like, I left Craft for Apple Notes and here's what I did. Because there's 2 parts of my life that exist. There is the work life where a lot of my job is note taking, hearing what customers want to have, what their environment's like, all that stuff, so that I can hold on to that data, so that my brain knows what to do to talk to them in conversations. And then the other part of my life is being a husband and a father. And that's a lot of project planning for my wife and a lot of communication. And we already do shared reminders lists. Shared reminders lists are the greatest thing ever. They finally, like, it's like the smoothest workflow over the, like, I feel like COVID happened. Like, we got to make this work because only one person's going to go to the grocery store.
Yeah, I wish.
So let's make this work.
I wish I could get my family onto reminders. Everything's in Apple Notes. Like, even grocery lists. It's just like, come on. Let's go in the reminders app for that, please. But no.
Yeah.
Has to be in Notes.
So I still have Craft. It's not in my dock anymore. That's how I know when I'm trying something new. Yes. Is like, I'm just going to take it out of the dock. If it's not there, it's out of my brain space. So
did you migrate data from Craft, or are you just starting fresh?
Starting fresh.
Okay.
I still have all the data. Like, I look at it as everything that I've done up until this Sunday is in there, and that will always be there.
Yeah.
And then with Apple Notes, it's like, let's just try a new workflow out. The only bummer that I've noticed is Craft was really great for, like, my day job. I can use templates. So it's like, I have a demo call, I have a trial call, or a POC, or like just a regular call with somebody to see how things are going and whatnot, and just check-ins. With Notes, there's no template. And so the only workaround I have for it is like copy. Like, I basically just have like my master template, copy, paste. And that's a new note. And like the visualness, I really like notes visually better on my eyes. Craft feels like this app. I don't know what it is, but when I try to copy and paste data from it, just copy it, the way that it exports that data doesn't visually come out the same as the way I want it to, versus when I grab something from notes and I were to send it to you in an iMessage or an email, it would look the same as it did in notes. Like, all right, cool.
Yeah, I think it's like a web app or something similar.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's something, and like, I know you can export, but like, I just started, my iPhone 13 Pro Max doesn't have Genmoji support, but my iPad Pro does. And it's been fun. Like, when Genmoji works, it's really entertaining.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. And so like, I just started incorporating all of my notes now have Genmoji in them. It's just built into the Notes app. And if I need to draw, the drawing's there. If I need to do voice memos, the voice memo can be incorporated. I'm like, this just seems easier. So yeah. So I was a huge Craft user for 2 years. I probably still will be, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be the crazy person that changes it right before I talk to Tim about using Craft. I'm like, now I'm using Notes. I'm going to see how Notes works. And I like the tagging. For some reason, the smart folder with tags helps me feel more organized quicker when I'm on calls, or like even if I was just doing something with my wife and we were doing like a shared note, like, cool, I know where that's going in the folder because I use like hashtag home life or something like that.
Yeah.
It just goes right into there. So it's very slick for that stuff.
Do you use shared folders at all?
Not yet.
Okay.
I like the amount of notes that I think my wife and I share is that, like, I don't know, we have like probably 5. Like when we were buying our house, we put in like, what do we want to have in a house? So it was like, cool, we'll have this. Or like we were working on something with my youngest son around just like messaging. So it was like, all right, how would you say this? Let's just put that in there and let's work on it together. Like, it's more of that stuff versus like a running list. Like probably the closest shared list is reminders, like shopping list, family planning list, like all those kinds of things.
I see. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Any other work apps worth mentioning? I know you guys use Slack, and we already mentioned how Zoom can be messy at times.
Screens by Adobe. I think I'm saying the developer's last name correctly. Screens. It is a truly wonderful app. I know there's like Jump, there's Splashtop.
Yeah, Jump's the other one that is magical. Just with their technology of connecting is just really cool, especially with like audio gets beamed through in cool ways.
I'm gonna have to try that out.
And back in the early days, they were the ones that supported the Citrix X1 mouse. That's why I loved Jump Desktop back in the day. So you could have a mouse on your iPad through Jump Desktop. But Screens, phenomenal, and they've got a Vision Pro app, which is also really good. And
sweet, Screens has been a huge lifesaver for me because, like, I like to keep my MacBook. I like to keep my office, but I'm still one of those employees that's like, I kind of need to get up and walk around. So like, I'll go sit at the kitchen table or sit on the porch or go sit outside. Or in the very rare chance where it's like I'm working from the car because my wife might be driving, I can remote into my work computer from my cellular iPad, which is dope. And I can just say like, all right, cool, I need to go ahead and like do something. Because like, I don't know if you've used Slack on an iPad. It's not as good as Slack on a Mac.
Okay.
Like Slack desktop is wonderful. Slack for iPad is just, it's like this like hybrid, like it's kind of an iPhone app, it's kind of a Mac app, it's in between.
Yeah. But it kind of feels like you're using a Mac when you have screens open on the iPad, which is kind of nice. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. And it's like, it feels like it's like, I feel like I'm the 2025 version of my boss who all he would do is remote into command line based terminals. Like that was his job. And now I feel like I'm that version where all I'm doing is remoting into like a Unix based graphic user interface, user interface. And it's like, I'm just the next version of my old boss at my previous job where it's like, I'm just remoting into a bunch of Macs now at this point. So I use Screens a lot. Just opening up my folder really quick. Craft is honestly really, really slick. I really still like it for its organizing, just like its functionality. And I didn't read it, but they did send out an email today of like major updates. I have yet to read what those updates are, but that looks good. Every once in a while, I'll still play with Timery.
Okay.
And I'll try to do some kind of I think Mike Hurley and like Federico Vitici first were like using this for CGP Grey. I think it was CGP Grey and Mike Hurley. were using it. I was like, man, that sounds awesome. So I'd pay like the $10 a year for like a toggle account or whatever it was.
Yeah.
For all those things. And I was trying to get really nerdy at my previous role at Jamf. We did a lot of tracking through Salesforce, and I was like, there's definitely a Salesforce API that like the second I end this call, I can send over all my notes through Timery. Like there's a shortcut here possible. And I think then I bugged our IT admin. He's like, yeah, that Salesforce API is like thousands of dollars a year, and we're not turning it on for you. I'm like, fair point. Fair point.
Yeah.
Fair point. So Timery is really awesome. I'm looking at my business folder right now. Let's see what else I got in here. That's been fun. We just migrated from Dropbox to OneDrive, and the OneDrive app is wonderful. Like,
oh, good. Yeah.
I uploaded a keynote to OneDrive for a coworker to share with the team, and it took like 12 seconds to upload like I think it was like a 400 meg keynote. Yeah. It was awesome. Like it just was there, and I can share it. Go ahead.
How's the Files app integration? Have you played around with that at all? Or?
I haven't used it at all. Like there's something about the Files app feels like the one part of an pro iPad user that like I don't want to say I'm a pro iPad user. I use an iPad Pro, but the Files app freaks me out because like
it's sometimes great, right? And then other times it's like I don't trust this, or it's just not connecting. Yeah. If they just if they improve what's already there and make it reliable, that would be an amazing thing for iPad OS. Yeah. 19 is the one coming out, right? Where we at? 18?
Yeah, yes. We're on 19. We're coming up on 19. Yeah.
I feel like we're almost, it's like we're at 20, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I use that, and then I was just looking at it. I use A Shell from time to time still. Mm-hmm. I'll remote into. I have like an Ubuntu VM I use for some automations that we do, and I'll use that from time to time when I'm just really lazy to really move my cursor to my MacBook during universal control.
Yeah.
And then open up the VM and do what I need to do. I'm like, I just got A Shell open. I'll just log in really quick and just change whatever webhook that I'm trying to get set up or Ubuntu app that I'm trying to mess around with.
Nice. Yeah. And then universal control, do you control your iPad from your MacBook and stuff like that? Is that copy and paste between the two? Is that a thing for you?
Yeah, I love it. So I use my MacBook Pro is like my central computer. Then I have a monitor right above it. Then I have my 13-inch iPad Pro to the right, and I will use universal control for this conversation, even just looking at notes off to the side. But like I have my trackpad, like a Magic trackpad, and then the Magic keyboard with Touch ID, which is the greatest update ever. Because if I ever need to do clamshell mode with my MacBook Pro, I can still log in with Touch ID. It's amazing.
Yeah, they should add that to the iPad, right? Clamshell mode for sick. iPad. Let's do it.
Yeah, I know. That's like, oh, that'd be so nice. But so I use universal control. I have it set up so that like I can just move my cursor over, do whatever I need to do. There are still times, I don't know if you use universal control, where I forget where my cursor is. So I'll just start typing and then realize the email I wanted to do in Outlook on my work MacBook is now being typed as a message to like my wife or like my parents or something like that. Like, oh no, please don't press return. Like don't hit enter. You don't need to send that.
Yeah.
But I use it all of the time. Like when I'm doing calls, especially at work, like I will be talking with a coworker on my iPad, so then I can have my screen dedicated to just that conversation with the customer, showing off whatever they need to be seen, stuff like that. Yeah.
And then, do you end up using the iPhone mirroring thing on your Mac ever? Does that become a thing?
So to make it about my job for just a second, one of the nice things being at Jamf is, from a security standpoint, is we utilize this thing. One of the terms is called ZTNA, so Zero Trust Network Access. So when I try to access work resources on an unmanaged device, it literally just says, no, you can't do this. Like just full stop, no dice. Like Slack, OneDrive, Outlook, any work resource, it just says, no, you can't do it. Apple came out with this really cool framework for BYOD devices 2 years ago. I think we're coming up on 3 years maybe now. Where all you have to do to enroll your phone into your MDM, and not every MDM supports this. I know Jamf does. I think Intune does. And I think maybe, I can't remember their name now. It's like Unisa. It's whatever used to be Workspace ONE. Then Broadcom changed the name. But all you have to do is go into your settings app as a user, go into General, VPN, and Device Management, and you just hit Sign into Work or School Account. And if you have a managed Apple ID or managed Apple accounts, they're Apple accounts now. If you sign in with one of those lovely things, your device auto enrolls into your MDM. And there's a reason why I'm going through this whole process. To answer your question, is we have customers that in my tenure of being a Jamf, so I've been there for almost 10 years. In my time when I started, BYOD was awesome. And then about 2 years into working at Jamf, every IT admin was like, BYOD is terrible. Users don't trust IT. We don't want to wipe people's personal phones.
Right.
And then in the last, about 2 years, Apple created this cool framework, which just in plain text tells the user when they're enrolling their device, hey, we're not going to touch your data. All we're doing is putting work apps on here, and work apps will go away when you don't want it to be here. And so when a customer's like, hey, BYOD sounds cool, but we don't know how to manage it, I just pull up with iPhone mirroring my phone, and I just show off like how we can restrict copy and paste. So like if a company doesn't want like Slack messages going to like an iMessage conversation, there's a toggle button in Jamf to turn that off. So like I just show that off because I'm like, it's really cool. Where iPhone mirroring bugs me, and it's really just because I forgot that I even have it set up to like do notifications, is I will get double notifications. So like I have Slack on my personal phone, and it'll be like Slack notification. I'm like, I just opened this up on my Mac. Why is it notifying me? I'm like, oh, it's my phone notifying me. Like, so it's some of that stuff, but it's really cool to have. I'd love to have that on an iPad. Like, just let me just do whatever that cool magic is on there, or even reverse. Like, let me have my Mac do it. And like I know Apple last year with iPadOS 18 came out with that lovely screen control feature where it's like a true screen remoting in client, like
through FaceTime.
Like if you're like if we were FaceTiming on iPads, like you could just take control of my iPad, which would be cool. I want that like on the enterprise level for like every Apple device. Like let me just control every device from my iPad. Like give me screen sharing. Like take that out of just being a Mac app, make it an iPad app that I can do.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And then ChatGPT. You use this quite a bit, I understand.
Yeah, and I only use it on my iPad, not from like a tinfoil hat perspective. It's just for some reason, like I have it on my Mac, I have it on my phone, but like again, this is just where an iPad fits my mental mind mapping skills. I leave it as one app. It's never in Stage Manager. It is always a full screen app. And it's always problem solving. Like for a thing for myself that I've learned, honestly, the last year and a half is part of being on the spectrum for me has been I'm always uncomfortable asking people questions. And so if I can at least kind of get through the uncomfortableness, I'll just go with like ChatGPT. And we actually have our own AI tool for our products as well that I'll use from time to time. But like I'll just like go through ChatGPT, I'll ask it the question, I'm like, this doesn't make sense based off how they did it. So then I'll ask a coworker that's like an expert in it or whatever. But like a lot of question forming for me comes at the start with ChatGPT. Like it helps me understand like what question am I actually trying to ask somebody and what problem am I actually trying to solve? Because like, world gets to be complex in my head sometimes. So I use it all the time for all those things.
That's cool.
Validating things. It's fun to ask ChatGPT and it gives you a completely wrong answer and you call it out in a nice way because like you don't want to be a jerk. It still is a thing.
Yeah.
But like I'm like, that's wrong. They're like, you know what? You're right. I am wrong. Like here's the right answer. I'm like, wow. Like it's one of those like, how'd you even do it in the first place? Like I'm also a human and I would get answers wrong.
Yeah, that's great. I have just the free account, so I just dabble in it.
Yeah, same here.
Hit the limit. Okay, so you're not paying.
I hit the limit every day with a picture. Like I'll put a screenshot and be like, can you tell me what this is and like how this would work in this environment?
Yeah.
And then it's like you have to upload this picture tomorrow at like 6 p.m. I'm like,
yes.
Well, all right,
the
sounds
image
good.
Stuff really really bottlenecks what you can do with it.
Yeah. No, but the text entry and stuff like that, it's been really awesome. Like a huge thing for me is probably in every industry, but like people come out with new features and it's like I usually ask them like, how does it stack up with like what we do at Jamf? And like I'll give it our documentation as a resource, and then I'll say, here's the other documentation. Can you just build this out for me in a table that makes sense for me? And because they introduced some cool new memory feature in the last couple months, like it knows everything that it's already done for me. So then when I ask it, it already has all that history of everything it's already asked. It's like, oh, based off of our previous conversation, here's what you liked from a layout perspective. And it'll give me like a really cool table with bullet points and stuff like that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything we didn't cover? Any iPad things you want to talk about before we wrap it up?
What are you looking forward to? I feel like you're probably always asking everybody else what they're always looking forward to. What are some of the things you're looking forward to this year?
I just am waiting for what Apple has to share in June.
Yeah.
That'll just dictate the rest of the year, pretty much.
Yeah.
For what it's going. Because we're in kind of a holding pattern.
Yeah.
It's probably too soon for Pixelmator to be at all integrated into what Apple's doing.
I forgot they did that. Yeah.
It's a slight bummer for the moment, but hopefully that becomes a good thing at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't used it in a while, but are they stopping updates to it? Because I know
they're doing very minor, just security updates. It would appear for now.
Okay.
But I use those apps all the time.
Yeah.
I use the standard Pixelmator on my iPad to do the thumbnails for the YouTube, and then Pixelmator Photo is my go-to photo editor, and I love that app. So hopefully something good happens there.
Yeah, I know that's. I'm hoping. I used to do a lot of photography, and I put that off to the side the last few years. But that was one thing that was the only iPad workflow that I just couldn't get to that I had to use my Mac for.
Yeah,
and I don't. It just felt like I was using a mixture between Pixelmator. I tried Affinity Photo, but Affinity Photo just felt very busy. Like I don't know if
it's a desktop class app.
Yeah,
along with the user interface, everything's there.
Yes, the user interface definitely. Yeah, it is definitely a desktop, but. I tried Lightroom, but even the Lightroom version just didn't feel the same. And then when I moved to Mac, I'm like, oh, all the controls I wanted for this RAW file are here.
Yeah.
Cool. I can go ahead and do it. But
I was very excited. My fancy camera, it finally got RAW support with iPad OS 18, so I no longer have to.
Sweet.
Before I had to go through Lightroom, let me export the RAW into the DNG so I could use it.
Yeah.
So now it just works, which is great.
What's your fancy camera?
It's a Sony. It's a Sony camera. It's probably like a $600 camera I got as a gift. Great, gets great shots. I love the thing. I'm not amazing at if you take enough photos, you get some good ones. One thing I'm super curious about. I think I mentioned this before, but I wonder. The Switch 2 is coming out June 5th, my birthday. Very exciting.
Happy early birthday!
Thank you. And then WWDC is on the Monday. It's probably too soon, but I'd love Switch 2 input support on iPad OS and Vision Pro. Imagine if it works with the mouse mode and those Joy-Cons. So you just pop off a Joy-Con and use a mouse with your iPad in that way. That could be interesting, right?
That'd be a lot of fun. That would be
as a little travel mouse, you just pop off a Joy-Con. It's
Or make some weird, you definitely know someone would try to engineer it, something that just grips the Joy-Cons to the side of your iPad and just mounts them on there so that you can play a game.
There are things for iPhone that do that where you can put an iPhone between two Joy-Cons I'm wondering if mouse support will be enabled with the controller update, which will eventually come. Because I think that would just be fun.
Yeah. Just make life fun. I think that's the goal is just trying to make it as fun as possible. Because I don't know, that's the point of these devices. I feel like the Mac's this big adult I'm in the room. You just take me seriously because I'm your parent. That's the role that I play.
And then I wonder if we'll get the PlayStation VR controllers for Vision Pro.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's actually happening. It's usually fun because we got the Switch 2, and then 4 days later is the WWDC keynote. So it's gonna be fun. Launch to June.
Have you, before we wrap up, have you had? What's it felt like for you, having been on the iPad, just enjoying using the iPad for so long, and then now having a Vision Pro? What does that feel like for you? How's that translated into usage life? I know you mentioned
I
using Vision Pro a lot.
Use the Vision Pro a lot, and the iPad gets less usage. I am back to editing podcasts on the iPad Pro. I did that for a while on the Vision Pro, which was fun. but the Apple Pencil, like the tactile input, is something pretty special on iPad. But it is immensely cool having Safari be as big as the wall. Like,
yeah.
And there's something really special about being able to use your computer when you just have one hand and are afraid you're going to drop something on like a 2-year-old. So it's nice not having anything in your hand. You can just kind of control stuff with your eyes and just a single hand just moving slightly.
Yeah.
But and I'm super curious what Vision Pro will do this year for its update, because it's its first big year. Where it gets some cool things, hopefully. But the mix has been interesting, and it's more portable, as like the iPad's with me all the time, pretty much. Work, I can just take it out of the bag and start using it. It's I've mentioned this before, but battery health on this M4 iPad Pro, it's just like, I don't know, they have super batteries in these things now that it's hard to kill.
Yeah. What is yours?
It's still at 100% my battery health.
Holy crap, Tim! I'm at. Let's see. It says normal, and then when I go to my cycle count, I'm at 188, and my maximum capacity, I'm at 95%. So I got 15% to go before I can get a replacement.
Yeah, I really want to drain down so I get a replacement. That's what I'm working towards. But I go to battery health, and where's that hidden away these days?
It's settings and then battery right underneath personal hotspot and above VPN.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. So I'm at. Oh, wow. Last time I checked, I was at 100. I'm finally down to 98% at 107 cycles.
Got to pouring out for the battery now.
I'm excited. It's like, is it stuck at 100? It's never gonna get it lower. So we're about a year into usage, and manufacturer dates May 2024, first use June, and 98%. So I got another decade before I could get it replaced, probably, unless it degrades faster than this.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, that thing will.
I do have a very annoying. I dropped it in a car, and I've got some scratches near the bezel, which even a screen replacement wouldn't, because the bezel's scratched. So I really want a device replacement, but that won't happen until I can get a battery replacement. So whenever that happens, I'll be very excited. I'll probably want a new iPad by that point.
Oh yeah. No, I think the only thing that like comes to mind for like, I don't know, like a final comment, a final whatever, is I was thinking about it this morning. After I got done talking with a coworker, was the one thing that I miss from Apple is those beautiful commercials that they started to come out with after a couple of years of the iPad. Like there was a run with, I feel like it was the first iPad Air. They had like a Robin Williams commercial where it was like him reading something from the Dead Poet Society. I still think my favorite iPad commercial ever, and people at work have laughed at me for this, I think, is the "What's a Computer" ad. It's my favorite. Like,
they're
it just
pretty
makes
fun.
me happy.
Yeah, they're fun.
That like the cute little kid just going, "What's a computer?" I literally just think of my two kids. Like, it's just a device, and it doesn't mean like the whatever. But like, I really would love to see Apple like come out with advertising that isn't just like I remember when they introduced the M1 iPad Pro, and it was like this like someone was on a Bugatti. The pencil was like coming down like an asteroid. I'm like, I get it. You're trying to like, I get the messaging, but there's like the deeper feel that I want to like have from iPad commercials, and like I'm guessing we're probably not going to get that from like Vision Pro at some point. Maybe at some point we will, because like there's going to be some beautiful ad where like they talk about like I remember when they were like featuring a doctor that was like doing surgery.
Yeah.
And like I think the last keynote that they did where Vision Pro was a part of that conversation, they were talking about Wicked. Like I want to hear some beautiful moving story. Like when they do an Apple Watch, like everyone cries at those. Like
absolutely, yeah.
Like I almost died, my Apple Watch saved me. Like that's beautiful.
Right. Yeah.
It's like I want to have like the Vision Pro one where it's like I couldn't have saved this guy's life without having Vision Pro, because like whatever. Or like an iPad, like there still is my favorite iPad commercial besides the What's the Computer one is the Robin Williams ones where it's just like people exploring using their iPad. Like I want that energy to come back to from Apple for iPad.
Yeah, I remember when I lived in California, I had the cellular iPad back in the day, and I was pretty lost. It definitely helped me when my iPhone was dead, and
Yeah.
so out in the wilderness. And
Yeah.
I remember I didn't bring enough blankets, so I was kind of shivering up in Big Bear Mountain, and I was streaming Netflix at the top of the mountain just to keep my mind focused elsewhere on being cold. It's just
Oh
it's a
my
very
goodness.
comedic situation where I'm in the middle of nature, but I got this cellular iPad that's just like keeping my mind active, and
Oh.
I'm a poor outdoors person at times. So
Yeah. Oh my
But,
goodness. That
yeah.
deserves its own podcast episode. There is just how you got into that situation. That sounds awesome.
Yeah. Well, every weekend when I lived in Los Angeles, I would find a different place to just like camp.
Okay.
My idea I'd go up, and go to the top of whatever mountain or something, spend the night under the stars. You don't worry about mosquitoes out there, so no tent needed. And then sunrise, you walk down, and that'd be my weekend. I'd find a different. One morning I woke up, I was like soaking wet. I was in the middle of a cloud. It's like, oh, this is wild, because like clouds are low enough. I guess it was fun times. Fun times.
That's
yeah.
a beautiful experience.
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, it's pretty wild. What my favorite one was, I was out overlooking Malibu, and above the clouds is the most serene, beautiful thing out there. Probably illegal where I camped mostly. I don't know, but who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's fine. It's great.
It didn't happen today, so you're fine.
Yeah, it's like a decade ago or whatever. So yeah. But anyways, yeah, and I also, as far as Apple and iPad stuff, Xcode would be just exciting to see, even though I'm not a developer.
Yeah. I think it would be really cool. Like, that was one thing that, like, I got excited about Swift Playgrounds. I'm like, oh, I could make this. And, like, I know, like, I have searched, and, like, I've seen people post, like, their projects they do in the App Store. And, like, it looks cool. Like, there's definitely not anything wrong with it.
Yeah. It's very limited, though. Like, you can't even do subscriptions, which is Apple's primary thing they want you to do to monetize these days. Like,
yeah.
It's so, and either boost that in huge ways because it needs it. Or let's do Xcode, for iPad. Let's finally do that.
Yeah. And like, I know they try to preserve that lovely experience of using an iPad for the normal human beings that use it. We're not the niche that we are, but like, it'd be really fun to just have like an iPad get pushed to its limit, like truly through software. And like, Final Cut does it a little bit. LumaFusion can do it. Procreate, if you have enough layers. Like, I know there's things that can push that.
For sure.
But like, it'd be fun to be like, I'm guessing there's probably some space in there to do Xcode based off of the current iPad Pro out there. So like, let's do it.
There's enough RAM,
Yeah.
all that good stuff. Yeah. Well, thank you, Kyle, for your time. This was a great chat.
Thank you,
kind of jumping all over the place, which is I always enjoy doing that, and it's great to learn about kind of what you do, and you're over at Jamf, and how long have you been over there?
It'll be 10 years in August.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
I've worn many different hats. Everything has been customer facing. It's been a good time. It's been a really good time.
Well, anything you want to promote? I know the Substack's just getting started. Anything else you want to share?
That's it. And the Substack's one of those, like, it's flying under the radar. Like, I'm so lazy about getting on top of anything getting published. So, just find me. I think the only social media website I have is LinkedIn. So if you want to find me on LinkedIn and bug me because it's 2025, we should message each other like business people. Go ahead. But
if you have any questions about mobile device management,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, go ahead, bug me or anyone on my team. We got a bunch of lovely people at Jamf. So nothing else to plug.
Yeah. Mobile device management front. Anything WWDC you guys are lacking that you need in there? It's a pretty full-featured at this point.
I'm not the person to ask myself. But no, it's been wild to think that came out in, I think, 2010 was when Apple released the original framework for it. And like, we're here now. Like, it's really cool. And it's always fun just to see what Apple will release. There's at WWDC, I'll have to look. I didn't see the session releases, the labs today. I haven't looked at it yet, but they always have one just titled "What's New in Apple Management," and that's the thing that like us and other MDM vendors out there really care about, because it's like, what's Apple letting us do now? And then the thing that I'm so happy to not have to do is everything our product team has to deal with.
Yeah.
So like now we got to prioritize everything by like September, October, whenever Apple comes out with the release,
Yeah.
and it's like, but it's fun. It's fun to see it. It's fun to see a lot of these smaller companies. Like we see, like there seems to be an MDM every couple months that like someone will come out with like, hey, here's my open source solution. And it's just fun to see what people are capable of doing because I would have never been able to make Jamf. My brain does not work the way that our founders did.
Yeah.
And it's fun to just see people like, well, let's just take it and see where we go.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Very cool. Thanks, Kyle. I really appreciate your time today.
Yeah, appreciate it, Tim. Thank you so much. It was nice meeting you.
Well, that's been an interview with Kyle. My thanks to Kyle for his time recording this episode. But thanks to you for your time and attention tuning in. As a reminder, you can support this podcast over at patreon.com/iPadPros or by subscribing in Apple Podcasts. With that, I'll talk with everyone again real soon.